that let's hope that we all benefit from this session today. And I request you all to pin yourself to KitKat Lab. Pin yourself to KitKat Lab so you, as and when the presentation is started, you will be able to see it. So please pin yourself to KitKat Lab. There are two KitKat labs, so be sure that you're pinning to the correct um one. There's one which shows KitKat Lab and it's showing the presentation.
One more very important point which I missed out in the beginning is that this is going to be an online session, so there are high chances that due to a network error at our end or at the student's end, there is a lag, or at times the voice or the video is not visible clearly. So those who kind of leave the meeting by mistake due to network errors can rejoin at any point in time during the session. And also we will be uploading a recording of this particular class on our e-laboratory site. So even after the session, if you feel that you need to listen to a few points from the class, you all can always go back and refer to that.
So we can begin this session. We'll start with our presentation. Okay. So the topic for today is light. Important phenomenon around us. If there wasn't light, we wouldn't be able to see the entire surroundings, the beautiful nature around us, your family members, the things you're learning. It would be a very difficult life. So light is very, very essential for us. And a lot of studies has been performed in the uh, study of light, and the branch which studies light and uh, its features would be called as optics. So basically, it is optics that we are dealing with today. If we go to see in light, there are a lot of things. We're talking about the light that is coming from the sun. The sun is sending us light. That light is coming to us. We are utilizing that light. You also know that a lot of animals cannot see colored objects. They see black and white. Sometimes the animals can also see vision in red and blue color. So basically, the light that we get from the sun is not only the light that we are seeing white color, but along with that, there is a wide range, a wide spectrum of light that is coming, a wide bandwidth of light that is coming. Today, we are going to deal only with the light that we see. So, if supposing you are in a dark room, you won't be able to see anything around you. Nothing will be visible around you. If supposing someone from somewhere is seeing, is two different things. The light is present, the light comes into your eye, and then you see things. The light falls on an object and it rebounds back. So it is like a ball. You throw a ball on a wall, it comes back to you. That same phenomenon is taking place when you are seeing objects. So whatever light is coming from whichever source, that light is hitting the object and coming back to you. So that phenomenon of light is called as reflection. So light has got lot of properties. that we deal with. One property I just spoke to you about reflection. Today, the entire topic is going to be done only and only on reflection. Besides that, there is also when we see that the light of the sun is splitting into beautiful seven colors, it is becoming into vivid color, the rainbow. So when we see that rainbow, we say that light is dispersing. So that phenomenon is called as dispersion. But the light that we see normally, the sun's light, is not coming as it is. It is coming as white light. So those seven colors are actually combining together. That is again called recombination of light. Then the other phenomenon of light that we use in our day-to-day life is we are using lenses in our glasses that we wear, or in microscopes, or then we see the uh, we see objects in the telescope. All these objects that we are seeing, is there is a phenomenon called as refraction. So light has got many features that is there. We are going to today basically concentrate only on reflection of light. Okay, so we'll begin with our first slide. Um, so basically, light, we are saying, is a kind of a energy. See, the sun is sending us energy in two forms. One energy that comes to us is in the form of light that we are seeing. The other form of energy is heat that we feel. The sun's rays that falls on our body, we feel the heat of the sun's rays. So we say that light is a form of an energy. Without that energy, we cannot work. You require energy to perform any kind of work. So we are seeing that. Seeing energy is there are various sources. The source that are normally available in the nature, we call them as natural sources of light, and the ones that we make are called as the man-made sources. So some examples of the natural light, that would be the sun. That is the best example. Besides sun, there could also be fireflies. You see that fireflies also produce a lot of light on their own. So that phenomenon is called as bioluminescence. There is a chemical reaction that takes place in their body, because of which light is getting emitted out, and that phenomenon is also producing light. So that is also a kind of a source of an energy. Besides that, man-made source, we can go to torch, bulbs, tube lights, big neon lights, fire. All of these are man-made sources. So sources could be anywhere. What is concerned for us is we want light to see. Correct? So that is what is light. It's form of an energy, and we are able to see because of it. Next. Sometimes we say that they are sources of light, but they are not. Uh, so we predict them wrongly. For example, moon. So we say that moon is a source of light. No, moon is actually reflecting the light that is coming in from the sun. So the sun is throwing the light on the moon, and from the moon it is reflecting back to us. So there could be some where you feel that they are sources of light, but they're not. The same thing happens for water. Water also, you feel that there is, um, i- if you flash light on water surface, or if there is moonlight in the night, you feel that water is twinkling and shining. See, what I say is it shines. It is not throwing light. So that is not a source of light. Similar way, mirror also. Mirror will never be a source of light. It will reflect the light. The light that falls on the mirror is coming back to us. So that is what we are called as reflection. Okay, so these are not sources. In fact, they are reflecting surfaces. Okay, so today we're going to speak mainly on the reflection part of the light. Next. So, as I told you before, also that when light is falling on an object, it is bouncing back and it is coming to us again. And this bouncing back is called as reflection. It's like a boomerang. You throw a boomerang and it comes back, like how the Jungle Boy Mowgli had. The boomerang goes and comes back. So reflection is also reflection is also at all. No, means they will not reflect at all. That energy just goes into it. There are some surfaces which will partially reflect, and there will some surfaces that will 100% reflect everything part of it. So on that basis, we will define them as shiny, smooth surfaces or then dull surfaces. When there are shiny and smooth surfaces, they will reflect everything, 100% of it. The dull surfaces will not reflect anything at all. So, for example, in your house, if you see there is walls, okay, uh, the walls will not reflect anything at all. They are all dull and rough surfaces. Nothing will happen. If you have a carpet, if you have a rug, if you have a sofa, all those surfaces will not reflect light at all. They will just absorb the light. Okay, there could be some surfaces which partially reflect. So the examples in that would be a TV surface, or then a shiny surface like a mirror. Some surfaces that you can see probably at the corners of the sliding windows that you have, the aluminium door surfaces. Those all surfaces will be partially reflecting. You can't see the image very well. So then you call them as partial. Okay. And when you see that the reflection is happening 100%, that is the best example you see is a mirror. In the mirror, the reflection will happen 100%. Whatever is there in front of it, you will be able to see that clearly very well. So you say that that is called as a shiny and a smooth surface. So this is how the reflection is taking place. It's because of the surface that is in the question. Okay, next. Okay. So, so if I said that we have got a shiny surface, the reflection will be a regular reflection. So it will be because, see, when I say sun is coming, it's not just one light of ray that is coming. There are millions and millions of light that is coming. All those millions of light is falling on an object and is reflecting back. So the way all are coming, they all are going back together out. So then that is called as a regular reflection. And if supposing you have a dull surface, in a dull surface, they all will not go back regularly. They all will go back in different forms, in different directions. So there you will not get a very regular surface. You will get an irregular reflection. So for a shiny surface, you will get a regular reflection. For a dull surface, you will get a irregular reflection. Next. So if you see here, uh, this uh, dog is there and he is standing in front of a mirror. The image that he is seeing in the mirror is very clear. Why is it so? Because he's seeing the reflection very well. He's seeing the reflection in a regular way. All the light that was falling from the dog to the uh, mirror is coming back to him into his eyes very well. So he's seeing himself perfectly in a sharp manner. So when you go to click pictures, what happens is when you go very near, the picture becomes blur. Then you don't like that. So that is what is we are calling about a irregular reflection kind of thing. image. Okay, and on the right hand side, if you see, probably it is it's a plate in which we eat food or something. When he's seeing his image and he can't see it very well, he's a little bit blurred one. So then we call it is a irregular reflection. Now, to consider the properties of a plane mirror, the plane mirror, how do we consider the plane mirror? Is something that is flat in surface. Okay, it is completely flat. So the mirrors that you see in your house, probably in your dressing table or in your cupboards or wherever, those mirrors are flat. So they don't have anything curved or anything as such. So that is called as a plane mirror. If you see, you that is standing in front of the mirror is the object, or whatever you're seeing is the object. Whatever is appearing in the mirror will be the image. So henceforth, we'll be talking about object and mirrors. So whenever you speak about something that is there in the whatever, someone's mic's on. Please switch off the mic, Ritvik. Okay, so the mirror is showing you something. That mirror, whatever you're seeing inside the mirror, on the mirror, is called the image. And whatever is standing in front of it, or whatever you're seeing in front of it, whatever is there, would be called as the object. So henceforth, remember, uh, you always consider in front of the mirror. So you would be the object, and whatever you're seeing in the mirror would be called as the image. For a plane mirror, the image is as far as the object is. So if you are standing at one arm distance from the mirror, the image will also be one arm distance in the mirror. For a plane mirror, the plane mirror will have such kind of an property that the object and the image are at equidistances. So, for example, I am standing at 1 meter away from the mirror. My object, I'm the object. Image will also be 1 meter away. So the size of the object will remain the same. If I am shown that I am 4 feet height, my image will also be shown as 4 feet height. It will not change. The height will remain the same. So we say the size. The size will be the size of the image would be what you're considering from top to bottom. That would be the size. So the size of the image is going to be the same as the size of the object. Okay, and and one another property of a plane mirror is very nice property, very unique property is that it is lateral inversion is there. So your right appears left in the mirror and the left appears right in the mirror. So that is why ambulance is written opposite. Why is it so? Because whenever there's an ambulance behind us in the car, the word ambulance is written uh, laterally opposite. So it will not be written as the way we write normally on the book A, M, B. It will be written opposite of it. It will start with the E and the C, and it will be from the other word round. So that when you are seeing it in your rear view mirror on the right side of your mirror, able to read the word ambulance with it. So these are the main features of a plane mirror. First of all, equidistance, the object and the image. Secondly, size also is same of the mirror of the object and the image, and the property of lateral inversion is there. Means right appearing left and left appearing right. I'm very sure you must have done this a lot of times. When you stand in front of mirror, you put up your left hand. The in the mirror, the image's right hand is coming up. Okay, so this is how we classify the reflections happening in a plane mirror. Next. Okay, this is this exactly like I told you. The rays of light in a regular reflection, they all are coming together and they all are going on one direction. That is why you are getting a sharp image. You're getting a very nice and a clear image. In a regular reflection, one light is going left, one is going right, one is going up, one is going 30 degrees, one is going 120 degrees. You just don't know how it is going. So the image that is formed is being blurred. You're not able to see a good image, like same way like how you see in a phone. That is the best thing when you go to click pictures in a phone. When you go very near, the objects get blurred. You can't take a good picture, but when you take it from a certain distance, it gets a nice sharp image. So this is how we classify a regular image and an irregular image. Okay, next. So up till here, we have done about plane mirrors, the properties of the plane mirrors, what is reflection, the basics of it. Uh, does anyone have any doubt related to this topic? If you do have, you can speak up or you can write in the message session section.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I suppose no one has doubt, so I think we can go to the next. Okay, there's one doubt. Why can we say wall does not reflect eye light? Does not reflect light. Wall is not reflecting light. No, wall is not reflecting the. You can't see your image inside it. The wall is not shiny. The wall will not show you the object standing in front of it. Yes, if you have a painting or a drawing in front of you, you can see the object standing in front of you. But so in the oil-based paint, sometimes uh, the the object can be seen slightly, but not really in a very good way. So that would be a very irregular reflection. And the normal paint that we have in a house is a matte finish paint. They don't shine. So if they're not shining, you can't say that it is reflecting light. You can't see yourself inside it. I hope I clear your doubt. Okay. So I think no more doubts. We'll go to the next part of it. Now we're talking about curved, shiny surfaces. So we're talking about curved mirrors. I'm very sure sometime in your life you all must have been to an amusement park where you must have been uh, to uh, to a place where there is a mirror maze. There are different types of mirrors. There is a mirror where you can see yourself very fat. There's a mirror where you can see yourself very short. There's a mirror where you can see your face very big and your body very small. Or then your body becomes very big and then your face becomes very small. So those all are just different types of mirrors, and they are curved mirrors. So, what do you mean by curved mirrors? If supposing I have, uh, if I have a paper, if I have a very shiny paper, let's say I have an aluminium sheet. So I have a plain aluminium sheet. When I open the aluminium foil plain, it will look plain. The minute I bend it a little bit, it will get a curved surface. So that is what we call as a curve mirror. So the curve mirrors are of two types. One is an inward curve and one is an outward curve. So the inward curve is what we call as a the inward curve is what we will be calling as a concave. Remember how a cave is, you have to go inside the cave, so it is, the curve is inside. It will be a concave mirror. And when the curve is coming outside, it becomes a convex mirror. So we have a lot of curved surfaces around us. For example, ball, egg, or then there is oranges, lemons. All those are curved. The balls, all those are curved surfaces. If supposing I'm cutting it into half, if I cut that ball into half, the outer surface that you were seeing before was a convex surface. The inside surface that you are seeing now, because of the ball being cut into half, will be the concave surface. Okay? Always remember these mirrors that we are talking about, concave and convex mirrors, they were actually a part of a very big round surface. So they were actually they were formed from a circle only before, from a circular reflecting surface. So if they were formed from a circular reflecting surface, a circle has what parts? A circle has a center, right? The center is there from which you take a protractor of where you take a divider and you draw a circle, right? So there is a center. So that center will be called as the center of curvature. That curve is happening, and that point will be called as the center of curvature. So we have got a lot of 3D and 2D images around us. We know that there is 3D images, like there is a pyramid, cube, a cylinder, a cone, a test tube. These all are 3D images. For example, you go to see a movie in a theater. In the theater, you'll be able to see the movie normally flat screen. That flat screen is what you will call as a 2D surface. When you wear those glasses and then you see that the image is coming outside the screen, you see that it is a 3D movie. So that is called as 3D. So it has got three dimensions. It has got length, it has got breadth. So let's consider a rectangle. A rectangle is like the image you're seeing on a theater, the screen. It will have length and it will have breadth. Now, when you wear those glasses and the things are coming outside, width or a height or a depth, so that thing that is coming out is forming the third dimension. And that is why you call that is a 3D image. So we have got 3D objects, we've got 2D objects. Okay, next. So this is exactly how I told you. If you have a ball and you're cutting the ball into half, so the outer part,
Mm.
the outer
Excuse me,
part
ma'am.
that you saw, yes,
I can't see the screen you are sharing.
you have to pin yourself to KitKat Lab. You came very late, I suppose. Please, if you finish, mute yourself.
Ritvik, if you can see this, like if you go to the people list, you'll see KitKat Lab, your presentation. So
Okay. So, like I told you that if you see the right hand side image where the outer surface is what is bulging outside, what you were seeing before in the ball was the convex surface. What is there inside is the concave surface. Correct? So whenever henceforth I'll talk about curved surfaces, curved mirrors, I will talk about concave mirrors and convex mirrors. When I say convex mirrors, I will mean if you can see the last image where it's written convex and concave mirror, you can see how the convex mirror is. It is bulging outside. So the shiny surface is bulging outside. I'm very sure you must have seen a mirror, a plain mirror anytime, a part of it. You'll see that one side is shiny, where you are getting your image, and the other side is dull. It is just colored gray in color or white in color. So imagine that the straight line is that dull surface, and the dark black thing which is bulging outside is the convex mirror. And same way to a concave mirror, if you see the one before it, the flat surface is the dull surface which you're seeing, the white colored one, and the surface that is black in color, that is bulging inside, will be called as the concave mirror. Okay, so we're talking about two mirrors today. One is going to be the concave mirror, and one is going to be the convex mirror. Whenever I say convex mirror, remember that mirror is bulging outside. Okay, it's coming out. When I say concave, that mirror is going inside. And um, remember that there's going to be a center of curvature which will be the radius, which will be at a distance of the radius from where uh, the curve of the mirror is. If you see the curve here is very small, so the radius will be very very big. If the curve is slightly more, the radius will be slightly less. So depending on the curve, the radius will be decided, and that point from where your radius is coming will be called as a center of curvature. Okay, next. So here are all the reflecting curve mirrors. You must have seen the left side mirror in buildings where you can see surveillance is put, or in malls you must have seen, or in theaters you must have seen. You must have seen all these kind of mirrors in uh, some place where they are seeing the people, where they are trying to monitor the crowd. This is how the curve surface. You can see how the curve is. Now, if you see in the middle picture, the curve is upside also and the curve is downside also. So when I say the curve is upside, the upper part of it where you can see the sky, that is the convex mirror. And where you can see the below part, that will be the concave mirror. See, it is shiny. This thing is shiny upside and downside, both is shiny. So the one that is shiny outside will be the convex part, and that is shiny below will be the concave mirror. Even on the right side, again, there's going to be a mirror, and you can see how you can see the images differently. The hand is appearing much, much bigger. Just next to the hand, there is a bench above, which you can see the bench is ulta. The bench is upside down. Okay? So there are different properties that will happen, and we're going to study those properties now. Okay? Next. Again, again, putting it into your reinforcing the concept, it can be convexing outside, it can be concaving inside. Okay, so if you see left side, there is concave mirror. The man is seeing himself appearing slightly okay. On the right hand side, you'll see a concave part of it, and he's seeing a very weird image of himself. So it's going to change on the mirrors, and how it is going to change, we're going to see it now. Next. Okay. So this is one activity that we want you all to do once this session is over. You all are going to take a spoon, a metal spoon, and you are going to see yourself into it on both the sides. So if you see the spoon from where you drink the soup or the whatever you're taking the dessert or what you are eating food, that part is curved inside. That is going to be the concave. It's like acting like a concave mirror. Though your reflection will not be a regular reflection, but you will see a good reflection. Okay, and the convex would be the outside part of it, the below part of the spoon. You will see yourself there. So you're going to do this. You're going to see yourself in the concave side, and you're going to see yourself in the convex side. The minute you see yourself in the concave side, you will see yourself upright down, and in the convex you will see yourself normally as it is. Okay, see the same image is given on the middle also. The girl is seen properly, convex part. In the concave part, you can see that she is appearing upright down. Okay, this is one activity you all are going to do, and you all are going to see for yourself how you appear in a concave and a convex mirror. Next. Okay. Any questions related to this curved mirror, concave mirror, convex mirror? Any questions related to up till now? We're going to go more in detail into each one of it, but up till now, any doubts do you have?
There's one message. Did not understand the curved surfaces, Ritvik.
I think he had messaged before he could not see the presentation.
Okay, okay. There's one more message. Did not understand the center of curvature.
Okay, you will come to know that once we go to the next part of it. I will explain you how the center of curvature takes place. Because you'll have to see it practically on the screen, then only you'll be able to see it. Okay, I suppose no doubts up till now. We can go to the next part. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the image. Okay. So, like how I explained you the terms object and image. Image also will have a lot of terms associated with it. So see, for example, I tell you that in front of you there is a blue cloud, there is a red t-shirt. So you know the terms red, you know the terms blue, you know the term cloud, you know the term. That is why we are doing a brief about the terms that we will be using henceon further. Okay, the image is uh, the image is going to be a point where the light is coming from the object, or when you can say the light is appearing to meet at the object. Why do we say is meeting and is appearing? Okay, because the images are classified into two types. One image is going to be a virtual image, and one image is going to be a real image. When I mean a real image, the light from the object actually meeting and forming into a object, and it is falling on a screen. On a screen, I mean it could be a white color screen like we see in a theater, or it could be falling on your wall, or if there is any surface, plain surface, it is just falling on it. So whenever the image is seen outside the mirror, it will be termed as a real image. When the image is formed inside the mirror, when you are seeing the image in the mirror itself, we call it to be as a virtual image. So all the images that are formed inside the mirrors, those we called as virtual. How can you form an image inside something? Okay, you can't have something, some image coming and forming inside the mirror. So that is why we say it is a virtual image. It is because of the property of its shining. That is why we call that those are virtual images. Okay, we'll go and study more detail into those next slide. So when image is formed on a screen, whenever, so what is happening that the light rays that were coming from the object after reflection, they all are coming and meeting at a point. So they all come and meet at a point, the light rays. Like we discussed, there were so many light rays in the regular reflection, in the irregular reflection. All those light rays, after getting reflected from the surface, when they come and meet at a point, really, we call that a real image. Okay? Uh, I'm very sure you must have seen this theater, you must have all seen. Or then sometimes there are projectors in your school which you see. Or then uh, uh, if you have got a small projectors that we make, based projectors we make using
Mm. Is Farida ma'am audible?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Maybe yeah, she left the meeting. Just wait for a moment. She'll join us soon.
hello, hello.
We can hear you now, Farida.
Okay, you all did not hear anything from the last PPT that I spoke.
Not much.
Okay, please go to that
No.
presentation. So if supposing I have got you all must have seen that in a movie theater, when you go and see yourself in the movie theater, you will see that the picture is being seen on the screen, correct? Or then you see projectors in your school also. You see in your school projectors, correct? Those projectors show you the image coming from a box, correct? So those all are coming and falling on the screen somewhere or the other, falling on some surface. So then we call that to be a real image. Those are called as real images. Okay. Next, any image that is formed in the mirror, when formed in the mirror itself, it is a virtual image. So when I say real image, a virtual image, I mean that it is forming in the mirror itself. Or if I say a convex mirror is forming a real image, it is forming not in the mirror, it is forming outside the mirror. It is forming somewhere on the screen. After reflecting, it is going to go bounce back to some screen and fall yourself on that screen. So that is what we call as a virtual image. Okay. Next. Okay. When I say real and when I say virtual image, okay, there are certain things that is important. A real image is the one that is always inverted. So whenever you have a curved surface and you see a real image, that is, the image is falling on the screen, it is inverted. Now you will ask me the question, ma'am, you said that theaters have real images, but we don't see them inverted. We see them straight because they were they were sending us the picture from before upside down. So if you go into a theater watching the movie or the film that is coming, that is actually kept inverted from before. So because it is kept inverted from before, and when it gets projected, the image that is formed will be again ulta. So from ulta it becomes seedha. So whenever I see a real image, it is always inverted. So if you are seeing yourself in the spoon you are seeing yourself opposite. Okay, you see yourself upside down. So always a real image will be inverted. A virtual image will always be erect. A virtual image will be straight. When I say erect, it is going to be straight. From head to toe, if you look in the mirror, you can see yourself straight. So then you say it is erect. But when you say that it is a real image, it will always be an inverted image. Okay? The best example of a real image is the cinema screen, and the best example of a virtual image is when we are standing in front of a mirror and when we are seeing ourselves in the mirror. So whenever I say real image, it is understood by default. I will say it is an inverted real image. Whenever I say virtual image, I always say it is an erect virtual image. These both words go hand in hand. They have to go together. Okay. Okay. I think someone's mic is on. Okay. Now we'll go to the next part. I'm very sure y'all must have seen this kind of experiment in your science exhibition or somewhere, a hologram. Okay, this hologram is nothing but a combination of the real and virtual image, and it creates such a nice 3D effect. We'll have to see it. Okay, so this is how it appears. There is a trapezium glass or a trapezium transparent material that is made, and it is made to stand on a single image. That single image, after its reflection comes in between, and we feel as if it is really there. It gives us a 3D effect. Okay, we'll see next slide what it is exactly. Okay, uh, so what is happening is that you are seeing the virtual image. Okay, the virtual image is what is coming from your mobile phone. Like, there's actually a mobile phone kept down. Okay, uh, the light rays falls onto that virtual image, and it reflects it back, and it comes to a point where you can see a real part of it. So this was just reflection by one surface. In a trapezium, there are four surfaces. So those four surfaces, they all together make a real image in between. And so we can see the image out there. That is a real image that we are seeing inside the trapezium. And we say it is a hologram. It is a three-dimensional hologram. Okay, next slide. Okay. Now see this very carefully. Okay. Um, the point that is written 2f, the point that is written 2f is actually the center of curvature. Means if I want to draw my circle, if you want to draw my circle, the circle that is the outside circle, okay, the outside, so on the right hand side, the right part, what will I do? I will put my divider on the point at 2f, and then I'll take a certain radius, and then I will draw this. Okay, here it is what is shown here in between is actually a lens. This is just as a reference for you all. We've not gone to the part of lens still. We are still in the mirrors only. But here it is just being shown for a reference to you to understand how the images and how this formation takes place. Okay, so consider that 2f is your center of curvature. That center of curvature you are taking, and you are taking a certain radius, and you are drawing a half circle, or you're drawing a quarter circle, or you're just drawing an arc of it. Drawing an arc of it, if the arc is outside, if you're drawing the arc and it is outside, then you will say that it is a convex mirror. If the reflection is coming from that end. If the reflection is coming from inside part, then it will become a convex mirror. And if the reflection is coming from inside of it, then it becomes a concave mirror. So the center of curvature is the point from where the mirror is drawn. That is why it is called as the center of curvature. The point from which the mirror will be taken a part of it. Okay? Yes? So I'm very sure now the doubt for the center of curvature is clear, given by Sheetal Shah. Is the center of curvature clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, I did not understand the center of curvature.
Okay. So for that, if supposing you want to draw I'm very sure you'll all use dividers at home or in your school. Okay. You must be having a pencil on one end and a tip on the other end, and to draw a circle, what you will do is you will take a certain radius and you will draw the whole circle, right? So if you do that,
Yes.
the point at which you're putting your pointed surface, and with the pencil you're drawing a circle. Now when you start drawing the circle, you will first start with a very small part of it. So then you'll get a small curved surface. Then you'll go more further, you'll get a bigger curved surface. Slowly, 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 you'll come and it'll become a half circle. Slowly, slowly, it will become a full circle. Correct? If supposing I have removed a part of that, a small part of that circle, I am getting my mirror. Okay, that curved mirror I'm getting. And the point from which I drew the circle would be my center of curvature. So it's basically the center from which the entire curved surface was removed. If supposing there is a ball, if there was a ball, and from that ball I've just taken a small part of it, a just small curved part of it. But the center was going to remain the same, correct? From which the whole circle was drawn. Is this clear to all?
Yes.
Okay. Now there are different other features in this. Okay. Another feature is you can see the point F out here. Where you can see the point F, it is actually where all the lines that after reflection come and meet. So the lines after reflection, when they come and meet at a point, we will be calling them as the focal point, the focus. The focus is happening at that particular point. That will be called as the focus. And normally focus is half of the radius. Normally. That is why we write F, and instead of C we write it as 2F. Okay, most of the cases, 90% of the cases, it happens in this way. Okay, so this is how it happens. Correct? Now, how the image is working here, if supposing, we'll start from where it is beginning. See, now the object is standing straight, correct? And the leg is down. Okay, when you're doing that, now it is going opposite of it. So this is the object that is forming on the left hand side. Okay, on the right hand side you will see the image that will be forming. Okay, so now you will have to keep your eyes on both the sides, on the object. Okay, so if I'm see now here the object is there on the left side, the image is forming on the right side. Correct? It is again upright. Sorry, it is again inverted. See, the image is going inverted. The object is arrow upside down, the image is arrow downside. So when I say it is a real image, the object is going to be inverted. But when I say virtual image, whenever I say virtual image, the object and the image will have a same side of the head and the toe. So right now you can see it is all real images because the object and the image are totally opposite direction. Now slowly when the position of the object is changing, there will be a point where you will be able to see virtual. See, now you can see that the object is the green point, but the image was on the left side of it. Okay. If you don't understand this, leave it. Not very necessary for you to understand. But what we are trying to make you understand is, whenever I have a real image, it will be inverted. Whenever I have a virtual image, it will be upright. Okay, and this was to understand the center of curvature point and the focal point. Okay, next. Now, here side. So we're considering a concave mirror. The object in the yellow, can you see the object in the yellow on the left hand side? From the object, the rays are falling. We are just considering 2 rays right now. Okay, there may be millions of rays. Just for our understanding, we take 2 rays. So we're taking the 2 rays that fall on the mirror. One ray is going straight, one straight, and it is falling on the mirror, and from there it is reflecting, and it's coming down. Okay, please follow the arrow. Okay, the other ray is going, we are considering that it is going through the focal point. It is going through the focal point and it is again falling on the concave mirror surface and it's reflecting back. So the point at which both these reflected surfaces are, or both these reflected rays are meeting, is what we are getting our image. Now you saw that the image it is inverted. So the object upside down, arrows upside, and the image has the arrow downside. You can also observe that the object was bigger and the image is smaller. So here we say that the image is diminished. The word that we use would be diminished. Correct? This is what how the reflection happens in a concave mirror. Okay, we'll go to a virtual image being formed by a convex mirror. The reflecting surface is now bulging outside. Okay, here again we
Okay.
are considering two rays. The two rays, out of the two rays, one ray is going on the convex mirror. There is one boy who's again and again getting unmuted. It's really disturbing. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. So there are two rays. One ray is falling on the convex mirror straight. So at the point where it is falling, it is getting reflected back outside. Okay, and here if you see the second ray that is coming again falling, it is again going and it is reflecting out. So if you see, these rays are actually falling outside. So they are going left, right, center. They're not going and meeting at a point. They are not meeting at anywhere. So here, this is where I say that they are not really meeting. They are virtually meeting. So where are they virtually meeting? Inside the mirror. And that is why we draw dotted lines behind the mirror. So when we draw dotted lines behind the mirror of the reflected ray, we will see that they are both meeting at a point, and that is where we consider the virtual image. Can you see that? If I have the image, if I have the object, both the rays from that are falling on the convex mirrors. They are reflecting outside. So because the bulge is outside, no, the reflection will be outside. It will go left, right, wherever it will go. So it will not meet anywhere. As in where in concave mirror, they were meeting at a point because the cave was inside. So they were meeting at a point. Now the cave is outside. So they're not meeting at a point. So we make them meet virtually, not actual, but virtually we make them meet, and they meet at a point. So here also they meet at a point, and here you can see that the arrow upside only. So you say that the virtual image is upright. And if you see the object was big, the image is small. So we say that the image gets diminished. I'm very sure this is clear with you all. Real and virtual images. Real has inverted, virtual has upright. Uh, and we use terms diminished and magnified as and when the object since changes from with reference to the mirrors. At this point where the object is standing, both the images that we got were diminished image, smaller image. Okay, next. Any doubts now based on real and virtual images? Any doubts? Okay, I suppose no doubts, so we can go to the next part of it. Now here we are considering for a concave mirror. So we're going to do first concave mirror and then we're going to go to the convex mirror. Okay. Uh, Now you can again see that how the object is very, very close to the mirror. The concave mirror is there and the object is very, very close to the mirror. So after the reflections that our eyes are seeing are actually images that the reflected rays are going again outside. So we cannot make them meet at a point. So they are meeting virtually inside. So what we are seeing there, the image is a virtual image. So when you see yourself in uh, in the spoon, the spoon, when you're seeing yourself inside the spoon image, you're seeing a virtual image of yourself. Okay, and on the left hand side, like I had discussed, you can see how the center of curvature is there. There is a focal point, and the distance between the mirror and the focal point will be called as the focal length. There will be a focal length involved in each and every mirror that will help us to decide that that mirror was, how much curved it was, how curved it was. So the more bigger the focal length, the more curved the surface would be. Okay? So this is how a concave mirror works. Here the object was placed very, very near to the image. In fact, we say it is present inside the focal length. The object is placed inside the focal length, so we get the image as a virtual image. Because it's virtual, it is upright. Okay, next. Images that the focal point that a concave mirror has, we call it a concave mirror. Why? Because all the rays that fall on the concave mirror, they come and they meet at a point. So they all are converging. They all are making all those points meet at a point. So that is why the concave mirror is always called as a converging mirror. It is always called as a converging mirror. The concave mirror will be a converging mirror. Okay, because the focus is where all the points are meeting, so we call it as a converging mirror. Next. Again, here you can see the focal, the center of curvature. The object is at the focus point. You can see all the images where it is forming. If the object is at focus, the image will not be formed. The image will be at infinity. So the image will never be formed at all only. So see, if the object is at the focus, so the object is not forming only, there is no image that is forming, the image will be formed at infinity. Means the image will never be formed if you are on the focus point. If you are at a distance where the focal length is. For example, the mirror has a focal length of say 10 centimeters. If the distance between the concave mirror and you is 10 centimeters, your image will never be formed. So when you have your uh, spoon and you see yourself, after a certain point you will stop seeing yourself. That is because you were at the focal point. So when you are at the focal point, you will never see yourself. So you say the images are formed at infinity. Okay, this is talking for a concave mirror. Next. I think we can. This is just to show that how the images are moving. We can. So this is basically showing that how the rays from the object are going and falling on the mirror surface. The blue ones were the rays from the object that were falling on the mirror surface, and then they were getting reflected back. The minute they reflect back, they were shown in the red color, and when you see that red color meeting at a point, both the red colors, they are meeting at a point below, and that is why the arrow becomes upside down, and so we say the image is real because it is falling outside the mirror. It is not falling inside the mirror. So it's a real image, but it is an inverted image. Okay. Okay. This is a very important
Nice
chart. If
example.
you see uh, in this chart, you can actually see that when the object is placed at different distances from the mirror. So on the left hand side, you can see that the image is at infinity, the object at infinity, the object at the point C, beyond C, the object at C, the object between C means center of curvature and F means focus, the object at focus, the object between C and F, the object at focus, the object between C and F, the object at focus. So then they have given you the nature of the image on the right hand side. So when you see the nature of the image on the right hand side, you'll see most of the cases the concave mirror has a real and an inverted. See, whenever real comes, inverted automatically comes. So whenever you see the concave mirror always forms a real image, means you will get the image really, you will get it on the screen. They are actually meeting at a point. But only when the object is between the focus and the P, means it is inside the focus, what we saw before in the ray diagram. Only it is at that time that you will be able to see the image inside the mirror. That is where you will see a virtual image. So, and if it's a virtual image, it is going to be an erect image by default. So this mirror is what we use in a shaving or for doing makeup. The one that is there in your vanity boxes, or when you're seeing yourself in your mirror, if you want to see minute details, those mirrors will be concave mirrors. Whenever next time you see, you can feel that there is a slight bridge inside. Why is it so? Because when you're very close to the mirror, that time the image will be very enlarged. You are able to, in the shaving or while doing makeup, you want to see the minute details, whether you're doing and you're doing a good job or no, each and every hair is being removed well or no. So at that time you're using this concave mirrors, and it is at this point that you need an enlarged image and you need an upright image. You don't need a inverted image. You don't want to see yourself upside down. So that is why we are very close to the mirror, and this is the main use of a concave mirror in our day-to-day life. In day-to-day life, we are using it for our uh, shavings and for our makeup kits. Okay. Next. So these are three different positions given. If you see on the left side, the object is at C, the image is forming at C only. It is real, it is forming outside. If it is forming outside, it is real, correct? So then what is happening is uh, it is inverted, real, inverted, and distance, the size will change, so it is going to be a same size. If you can see left side, it is same size. In the center, if you see, the object was beyond C. It is far away from C. So if it is far away from C, you can see that the object is forming in between C and F. It will form between C and F, and the image is also very small, diminished, and it is inverted. It is inverted means it is going to be a real image. Okay. When the object is placed between C and F, you see that the image is being formed beyond C. So if it is forming beyond C, the object becomes enlarged. The object becomes enlarged, but again you see it is inverted, so it is again a real image. So in these three positions that you can see, it is a real, it is an inverted image. Okay. the sizes will change as per the position of the object, and they are forming outside the mirror. So you're saying it is a real and a inverted image. Next. Okay, here you can see one major use of concave mirror. You can see the objective mirror which is written, that is which is helping, because we said it is a converging mirror. We said that concave mirrors are converging mirrors, so it helps to converge the light that is coming from the stars and from the objects. Those are the objects that we are seeing in the telescope, the star, the other planets, moon, or whatever. So the light that after it gets reflected from that is coming to us, we want to converge it to a point, so we use a concave mirror inside a telescope. This is what exactly I was telling, that we use it for shaving, for makeup. We use the a concave mirror because it gives us enlarged image, but you have to be very, very close to the image. You get a little bit far from it, you won't get an enlarged picture. You will get a small picture again. So you want to go very close to it, so you get an enlarged and a clear reflection of yourself. You'll get a good image. Okay. Concave mirrors, like we said, it is also used by dentists for the same reason. It gives it enlarged image. So it is used by dentists. You can see how on the left side the teeth are looking very, very big. And the concave mirrors in the torch and concave mirrors are used in the headlight. Like we said, that the concave mirror acts as a converging mirror, converging point. So because of the converging point, we are using it in torch also and in the headlights also. Okay, next. Okay, so we finished the point of concave mirrors. Any doubts with concave mirrors?
Ma'am, I do not know what the telescope wants.
The telescope one, like I said, no, the concave mirror is acting like a converging lens, like a converging mirror. It is focusing all the light coming at a point. So because it is all converging at a point, we say that it is becoming a converging mirror. So it is helping to converge all the light coming from far objects that we are seeing to a small point where we will be able to see it into the telescope. So that is why here we are using it as a converging mirror, the concave mirror.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, in torchlight, how does the concave mirror work?
Same point. Same point, like I said, converging mirror. It is helping to converge the light from that torch. That small torch bulb is giving such a big light. It gives such a wide range of light. That wide range of light is given by that small bulb because of the converging mirror that was around it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Like the concave mirrors, we have the convex mirror. Okay, concave, convex mirrors, the points are going to be the same. Correct? There's going to be a focus point. There is going to be a center of curvature. All those things are going to remain the same. So here, if you see in a convex mirror, you can see a F point and you can see a C point also. So all these points are going to remain. Okay, but these points are behind the mirror. They are behind the mirror. So that's why we normally say that they have a negative focal point, because they are behind. No, they are virtually there. They are not really there. They are virtually there. So we call it as a negative focal point. For concave mirror, we say it as a positive focal point. Next. Now on the right side, you can see the image. All the points that were coming on the convex mirrors are reflecting outside. Because they are reflecting outside, they are called as diverging mirror. They diverge the light outside. When they diverge the light outside, they are called as diverging lens. See here on the left side, a small experiment is given where they have taken a convex mirror and three rays of light are falling on it, and you can see how the three rays of light are reflecting outside. So that is why we say they are diverging mirror. Okay, and they are not appearing, they are not meeting. So we have to make them meet because we want the image, no? So they have to meet. If we want them to meet, we can't make them meet in real. They have to meet in virtual. So that's why the images that will be formed by the convex mirrors will be virtual only. So that is why they are meeting. See, you can see on the right hand side dotted lines and they are meeting at a point, focus point. So we are making them meet. They are not really meeting. Correct? So that is why we say it is a negative focal point, and the mirror is forming a virtual image because the image is forming in the mirror, not somewhere outside on the screen. It is forming in the mirror. That is why. Okay, next. Next. So see here, you can see the convex mirror. The object is there AB. The light from that is falling on the mirror and it is reflecting outside. Okay, but we are not, it is not meeting in real. It is not meeting in real. It is meeting because it is meeting behind. We say it is virtual image. The image is not real. It is a virtual image. So that is why we say that the images formed by a convex mirror is a virtual image. Okay, next. Now, like we saw out there in the concave mirror, you see here in the images formed are always virtual. They are always and always behind the mirror and they are virtual. And the other point is that they will be highly diminished. So whatever object we are seeing, whatever object is there will become a very, very small. Very, very small. It will become highly diminished. It will become smaller image and it will be virtual. These two properties is associated with convex mirrors. Okay? Next. So this is why we are using convex mirrors in the rear view mirrors of the car. And always it is written the objects are closer than they appear. The objects are, why do we say that? Because they are appearing very, very small. So we feel that they are very, very far away, but actually they are much, much nearer. They are always giving us a smaller picture. They give us a smaller picture, but they are not smaller. They are there at a much, much nearer distance from us. Okay. So use of convex mirrors mainly in our rear view mirrors and also in malls and on all the surveillances. So if you see all that surveillances and all those things, you can see a wider range. You will see a wider range. You will be able to see a bigger view of the objects. Correct? So if you're seeing a bigger view of the objects, you are getting a wider view of the things around you. So you kind of don't see 180, but you can see a 120 degrees view. So to see all the objects, because everything is becoming small, no, in a convex mirror. So because they are becoming small, we are very easily able to use convex mirrors in all these surveillances. Okay, so that is why two major uses of the convex mirrors. One is in the cars, the rear view mirrors, and also in the surveillance. Two major uses of the convex mirrors. Next. So, convex mirror. Always remember this as a last point is a converging lens. Convex mirror is a diverging lens. Sorry, diverging mirror and a converging mirror. Okay. Next.
With this, we come to end of today's session. You all can ask any doubts if you all have.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
which mirror is converging and which mirror is diverging?
Okay. So the concave mirror will be a converging mirror, but a convex mirror will be a diverging mirror. See, it's very easy to understand. It's a concave, right? Things that are coming will easily meet at a point. They will they will all get they will all get joined at a point very easily. So that is why we'll say that concave will always be a convergence. Added to that, a convex mirror is bulging outside. So all the rays that are falling on the mirror will fall all outside. They all will get right out everywhere. So those will be called as a diverging lens. Sorry, diverging mirror. So
Any more doubts?
any
Ma'am, would you please explain important?
Sorry,
you
please
to
can
ask
you repeat?
Ma'am, would you please explain?
any
Explain what?
Ma'am, focal point.
Focal point.
focal point. Okay, focal point is where we go back to this slide. Yes, the last slide, the converging diverging. So
Okay.
the point at which all the lights all are meeting at a point is when we are saying that it is a focal point. So for a concave mirror, the focal point will be in front of the mirror because they are forming mainly real images. But in case of a convex mirror, the focal point will be inside the mirror, virtually there. It will appear to be there. So that's why we say it is a negative focal point.
Okay, ma'am.
Any more doubts?
Okay. So that we'll be sending you a short questionnaire so that
Yeah.
you can gauge yourself how much you've understood from this session or not.
So what
Rest
what
will be
will
sending
be?
you activity sheet, two activities to be done. One activity is for the spoon, and the other activity is going to be to make a hologram. It's very easy to make a hologram. We'll send you the steps. Please do it, and do send us pictures or do send us video of the objects when you see it really. On the topic
Uh,
of concave and
Okay, so to take the quiz or the assessment, as Farida ma'am said,
convex
you
surfaces.
all have to log into this site called elaboratory.kitukate.com. Those who have already registered can log in using their credentials. Those who have not registered, they can register using the link which we have given in the mail yesterday. And once you register, you can log in with your credentials. Okay. And I'm just taking you through so you'll understand how to do it. On the dashboard, you have to scroll to the bottom of the page and you will see online class written. So you have to click on the launch button. And once you click on launch, you'll see that the first topic is today's topic, which is reflection by plane and spherical mirror. Now there are two files which are here. First one is the presentation that you all just viewed during the session. So you all can view the same presentation again by clicking on this link. And the second link is the quiz or the assessment that you all have to take. So you can click on this, and then there are 10 questions in the quiz. So you can say attempt quiz. Okay, and this is how it will appear. So you have to go on solving one question at a time, and after you complete 10 questions you will have to submit your answers, and you will be able to see the result. You'll be able to see how many questions you've got right, how many questions were wrong. Now in case like you missed out or you want to revise the topic before taking the quiz, you all can go back to the you all can go back and view the presentation before you appear for the quiz. Is this clear to everyone?
Ma'am, what is the last answer and
Sorry, your voice is not very clear. Can you please put it in the chat so I can read it from there? Any other doubts regarding the quiz or regarding today's topic? You all can ask. Okay, so all right, so with this we close the session because there are no other doubts. Okay, last date for submission of photos. Okay, you can do it within 2 days. So today is Monday, so you all can submit it by Wednesday. Okay, so we'll be sharing you an activity sheet, a procedure which will tell you how to create the hologram. And the another activity that you all are supposed to do is observing yourself or any other object on a spoon, on both the sides of the spoon, or any other concave or convex surfaces. Okay. All right. Thank you, students. You all can thank Farida ma'am for the session.
Thank you,
And we all
Farida
keep
ma'am.
going.
Thank you, Farida ma'am. It was a wonderful session.